So while looking through all the Mass Effect 5 teases for the 1000th time, I realized that it's setting up a fundamentally new era of Mass Effect. And that's because the old era was completely defined by the Reapers. The trilogy was finding out about the Reapers and removing them as a threat forever. And the Andromeda Initiative only launched in order to escape the incoming Reaper destruction. But now, in the very pointed Reaperless teases we're seeing, the new era of Mass Effect has already begun, with teases like the new relay humanity is building. There's a reason we're seeing these newly built relays alongside the old relays being broken and inactive. Because the original mass relays, which defined the old era, need to be destroyed. When Mass Effect first began, we saw the scrolling text iconic to the franchise outlining everything the old era was defined by. When explorers on Mars discovered the remains of an ancient spacefaring civilization, these mysterious artifacts revealed startling new technologies. This enabled travel to the farthest stars, which sums up the two main factors that define Mass Effect: discovering mysterious artifacts that reveal startling new technologies, which then enable travel to the furthest stars. Very soon after seeing this scroll, we saw the Normandy using a startling new technology for the first time, which was of course the mass relays. By using them alongside Element Zero, spaceships could travel faster than light. However, unbeknownst to the ones using it, this incredible new discovery came at a very steep cost, which was explained by Sovereign.
Rudimentary creatures of blood and flesh, you touch my mind, fumbling in ignorance, incapable of understanding. Your civilization is based on the technology of the mass relays. Our technology. By using it, your society develops along the paths we desire.
The mass relays are the key to everything the old era of Mass Effect was defined by. Andromeda not having any definitely contributed to it not feeling like Mass Effect. But it's actually a good thing it didn't have any, because of what Sovereign said. The mass relay's purpose was to evolve the Milky Way along the paths the Reapers desired. That meant that we could travel here, or even here, but whatever we did, we could not travel beyond the limits of the Milky Way. This effectively made the entire galaxy a really big jail that only the Initiative was able to escape. For everyone else, they were trapped by the very mass relay system they heralded as the greatest discovery of their time. And when the time was right, the Reapers arrived to harvest everyone, just like every 50,000 years prior. Use the mass relays, evolved the same ways as every race had before, get harvested, rinse, and repeat. Except now, in Mass Effect 5, we're seeing the destruction of the old way things were done. There's hints of broken relays alongside new relays being built. And this likely isn't just a new relay to replace the old ones. It's something completely new, and the Reaper's secret secondary purpose helps explain just how new it is. In Mass Effect 3, the Catalyst commanded the Reapers to once again begin their harvest. However, when the Leviathans first gave the Catalyst its orders, it wasn't to kill everyone and everything. It was actually much simpler. They told it to preserve life at any cost. But without the Leviathans realizing it, the Catalyst also gave the Reapers a secondary purpose, which was tied to the 50,000-year cycle of their harvesting. And we saw this other purpose during the Reapers' invasion of Asari territory. In the ILS system is a small rock planet called Tricolon, which was home to a centuries-old Asari venture called the Tiri Super Collider. This massive particle accelerator eventually came across funding cuts, but human scientists stepped in to finish the project, renaming it the Susskind Super Collider. It came online just days before the Reapers invaded the galaxy. And very crucially, when the Reapers entered the system, they treated the Super Collider as a greater threat than the Asari naval fleet stationed at Sanvis. The Reapers blasted the particle accelerator apart, which tells us so much about what the Catalyst's secret purpose for the Reapers was. For those who aren't aware, super colliders accelerate subatomic particles to nearly the speed of light and smash them together in order to study the building blocks of matter and to understand the fabric of reality. So essentially, the super collider that humanity inherited was meant to further their understanding of the universe. They were going to increase their collective scientific knowledge. Now, while we won't ever figure out what the Susskind super collider might have discovered, its destruction did reveal the secondary purpose of the Reapers. It wasn't just to harvest the galaxy. it was also to limit the knowledge they possessed. The Leviathan's original mandate of preserving life at all costs was being altered to preserve each race's knowledge up until a certain point. If the Milky Way was like a jail cell due to the mass relay system, then the Reapers were like the prison guards, preventing its occupants from gaining scientific knowledge beyond a certain point. And I think one of the reasons they had this secondary purpose was to fulfill their original purpose. Since scientific breakthroughs via the Super Collider would advance humanity's technological progress, this would naturally cause the Reapers problems with harvesting them. If the Super Collider helped humanity advance enough, they might have learned more about the fabric of reality, creating new technologies that were better than the mass relays. Humanity might have eventually learned enough to leave the evolution cycle the Reapers manufactured for them, which is why the Reapers likely targeted the Super Collider over harvesting the Asari. At all costs, they had to keep life within the Milky Way, evolving the same way over and over again every 50,000 years. And this was the old era of Mass Effect, the jail cell, controlled by an intelligence since time immemorial. But now, with Mass Effect 5, we're already getting glimpses of the new era. Because if the old era was entirely defined by the Reaper's jail cell, this new era will be fundamentally different after their defeat. Obviously, we've already seen in Andromeda how a Reaperless scenario would play out. However, from all the teases we've seen so far, it very much seems to be centering around how the Milky Way has changed after no longer being controlled by the Reapers, which is directly connected to the many teases of relays we keep seeing. The most indisputable tease from the first trailer we saw included a broken relay and an unmistakable Reaper roar. One of the key points of this moment, at least to me, was to show how connected the Reapers were to the mass relay system. And in Mass Effect 5, it's looking like the old ways of travel are going to be useless, based on the teased relay being inactive and broken. Now, I've gone over in other videos why I think the relay is broken, and who likely broke it, so I won't repeat myself. But it's safe to say, in the new era of Mass Effect, the mass relays won't be the focus. Instead, its focus will be on the new relays being constructed, like we're seeing with the other teased relay so far, which makes complete sense for us to be seeing now, after the Reaper's defeat. Just thinking it through, regardless of which ending you chose, there would be vast amounts of knowledge suddenly at the disposal of every race in the Milky Way, which Sovereign first told us about way back in Mass Effect 1.
There is a realm of existence so far beyond your own, you cannot even imagine it. I am beyond your comprehension. I am Sovereign.
The realm of existence that Sovereign is talking about likely relates to how scientific knowledge and technology never advanced beyond a certain point, which was of course due to the Reapers themselves. However, in a post-Reaper War galaxy, the Reapers would no longer be holding back scientific and technological advancements. And pretty ironically, those same advancements would likely be stored in the Reapers themselves. Since the Reapers had been storing knowledge of countless alien cultures for over 1 billion years, after the war, that knowledge would then belong to everyone. In the Destroy ending, examining dead Reaper remains would lead to untold data being recovered, leading to huge leaps in advancement. And with the Control and Synthesis endings, the Reapers end up as allies, so their knowledge would be shared freely, meaning that the very realm of existence that Sovereign gloated about would then be very reachable by the Milky Way's citizens. In the very first era without the Reapers, the Milky Way's people would be able to leave their prison, which is exactly what we're seeing with the new relay being built. In the bottom left text of this relay, there's one tease I couldn't quite figure out until I saw a couple of recent comments about it. A few commenters had pointed out that the word dhow here can stand for a trading vessel used to carry heavy items, which would mean that this relay is actually a movable relay, or mobile relay as some commenters have suggested. When I first saw these theories, I thought it wasn't possible, but honestly, I'm really coming around to it because it's the natural next step in a Reaperless galaxy. With no big ol' AI machines to stop technological advancements, of course it'd make sense for mobile relays to become a thing. In order for the Milky Way to evolve beyond the paths the Reapers laid out for them, they would naturally have to build their own relays with their own purposes. So my current interpretation of this newly built relay is this. Since the relay has Cerberus's colors, but of course there is the SA listed here, I still believe that Cerberus has infiltrated the system's alliance, making this humanity's relay. I also think it's very likely that people like Miranda within the Alliance would use Reaper knowledge to build them. Just like how Cerberus used parts of Sovereign to make Edie, I could easily see Miranda using Reaper parts to build new technologies. And more specifically, I think the Alliance is partnering with a company called Deep Space DAO in order to manufacture a mobile relay series. Since the MR7 could very likely stand for Mobile Relay 7 as some have suggested, then that means there's probably other mobile relays, 1 through 6. With a company name of Deep Space DAO, this also implies that the purpose of the relay is to travel beyond the confines of the Milky Way, just like trading vessels tend to do. And of course, this ship captain would then be the one controlling the movement of the relay itself. These docking stations here could easily be for allowing ships onto the relay while it moves to parts unknown. Now, I've gone over where this relay could lead a few times on the channel, with wormholes being the current top theory. But I think the most crucial aspect of it is actually related to the broken relay from before. If this broken relay represents how the old mass relay system isn't going to work in Mass Effect 5, then newly built relays might be the only way travel can take place. Potentially, if the new villains take out the relay system, which is the current theory around these parts, then the mobile relay series will become the most important weapon against them. Being able to outmaneuver the enemy and freely move has always been a key factor in wars, and what we're seeing now with this mobile relay might be the key to victory, which is built on the death of the old era. No more Reapers as enemies, no more mass relays, and probably a whole bunch of brand new technology we can't even begin to guess at. But that's not to say that Mass Effect 5 won't feel like what defines the franchise, because just like the original scroll said, Mass Effect 5 is likely going to feature mysterious artifacts, but this time it'll be the Reapers themselves that reveal startling new technologies. And of course, just like we're seeing, this will then enable travel to even farther than just stars. It'll probably lead to the farthest galaxies, and maybe even to the edge of the universe. Now, even though this newly built relay might be a key to victory in Mass Effect 5, the newly built N7 is probably anything but. Watch this video next to see why this N7 proves that one of the Reaper's limitations was actually right. See you there.